Good morning. My name is James Moser, and I am the worship associate for this morning. And as worship associate and on behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you all, especially as we extend a warm greeting to those of you who are here for the first time on this, our open house Bring a Friend Sunday. We are very happy to have you here, and also welcoming those who are viewing our service today online. Each week, we gather here and online as a diverse worshiping community. We welcome one another and invite one another to explore your faith, deepen your spirituality, share your presence in this community. No matter your religious history or current beliefs, your ancestral heritage, class, race, or orientation, you are welcome here. That's what we do. Especially if you are new among us, we invite you to sign up for our weekly newsletter so you can be afoot with the happenings here at First U. Our e-news can be, you can subscribe and sign up for it at www.firstuuwilm.com. I'm sorry, .org. Well, it's a good sign already that I haven't lost you yet. This Wednesday, there will be a Vesper service, a 30-minute service here in the sanctuary at 6:30. If you need a brief midweek respite, come and join us in silent meditation, the lighting of candles, inspirational music, and readings, and of course, a lot of reflection. It's a sacred space for 30 minutes of peace, silence, and reflection. Our regular attendees find it to be a great release from the stresses of life, and we hope you might too. So now, having found your seat and allowing gravity to keep you in place, I invite you to find that space inside, your own sanctuary, that place where you're safe and at peace, and let us worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Piers, minister here at First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. Those of you who are familiar faces to me, I have to say that extra hour of sleep really helps. You look bright, you're obviously alert, right? So it's great to see that version of you this morning. And those of you who are visiting us for the first time, I can't wait to meet you and introduce you to others that are here today on our Bring a Friend Open House Sunday. So, our call to worship. We have come into this room of hope where our hearts and minds are opened to the future. We have come into this room of justice where we set aside our fear to name freely every oppression. We have come into this room of love where we know that no lives are insignificant. And we have come into this room of song where we unite our voices in the somber and the beautiful melodies of life. Come, let us worship together.
If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to join us here in the sanctuary by lighting it with us. The reading for the chalice lighting this morning is a lighting for the dark and the light by Francis Cozier. May we light this chalice to remind us of the power and beauty of balance and contrast. It is darkness that can make the flame of a single candle so powerful, and light that deepens the shadows in turn. The chalice flame is the meeting point, the union of the refuge, safety, and incredible beauty of darkness with the warmth, the assurance, and the joy of light. Now, please stand in body or spirit for our hymn number 1014, Answering the Call of Love. Although you'll see the page says Standing for the Call of Love, we will answer, and I'll invite you to remain standing after the hymn for our affirmation. Let us affirm our mission together. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. You may be seated.
Let us join together now in a time of prayerful meditation, feeling ourselves held by the chair, feeling our feet caressing the earth and the earth caressing our feet, finding the stillness that is waiting to be found within us, receiving the breath that is freely given to us as a gift of grace, a gift of life. So much is happening in our world today. So much that would cause us to want to retreat and withdraw. And yet, in answering the call of love, we can find a courage within, a faith within, to recognize that it is our response to what is that forms our religious response in the world. To be human religiously means to show up no matter what. To stand and sit and answer to the call of love alongside of one another and feel the strength of one another's presence and feel the strength of presence within. So in this shared silence, may we open ourselves to a strength that wants to emerge in spite of all that is, for a courage that wants to be known in spite of all that is, for a love that wants to be manifested in spite of all that is, and for that flickering flame of hope within us and among us that we can hold out and hold forth into this world. In this silence, let's abide in the presence of faith and love and hope. May faith, love, courage, and hope be our guide. So may it be. Amen. Each Sunday we do. There's some people. It's okay. It's not on there. We're going to do it anyway. Okay. Each Sunday we do take even a tiniest moment to check in with one another, to first attend to our own hearts. What are the concerns that are burdening our own hearts on this day? And then we take a time to attend and listen to whatever flickers of joy might be there waiting to be recognized and realized within and among us. So, first of all, let's take a time to attend to whatever concerns are on our heart. And then, after we've taken that moment, I'll invite us to speak into this room or to write in the chat what those concerns might be. What concerns do you have in your heart that you would like to speak into this room or write in the chat?
The family of Mary Kala. Support the tribe.
We need not hold these concerns alone, but articulating them in this room, we can hold them up to one another. We can recognize that alongside of us, we can be a force of love and compassion and hope for one another. We can find a love, a compassion, and a hope that can carry us forward and can attend to those that we care about. Is there just one little thread or flicker of joy that you might also have this day that you would like to name into this room so that we can share your joy alongside of you?
The beauty of fall.
Say that again?
The beauty
of fall. Sunshine.
Yeah. All these new faces in the sanctuary. Including our friends.
So alongside our sorrows, we also hold our joys, and together they are entwined in what knits us together as a community. May we hold our sorrows, our concerns, and our joys alongside of one another and find strength and love and compassion. May all whose names were spoken and those unspoken find peace and healing this day as we now sing together our musical meditation.
Yeah, please join in singing. Unlike most Sundays, this is a participatory musical meditation. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
What I care about as a you.
The
The first principle for a Unitarian Universalist is to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
No matter who they are, no matter what they believe, no matter how they identify, and no matter whom they love, they have inherent worth and dignity.
I was drawn to this community a little over a year ago because of the values I saw in its members and its pastor. Values which seemed to me to be very liberal-minded, open-hearted, and generous in its acceptance of a broad range of spirituality, people's love choices, and people's lifestyles. Being a part of this community over the last year has become very dear to my heart.
When I first began attending First U in 1976, I quickly found my values were totally in sync with those of Unitarian Universalism.
The familiar search for truth and meaning in life, desire to do some good in the world, and to find a community of like-minded folks.
What I care about, my intention, is to be a healing force, even a source of growth to those I love, in my family, in my community.
I think what I care about in the community is really captured in First Unitarian's mission, which includes a beloved community, and to me that means we take care of each other, that fights injustice, and that means we're not just about ourselves, we're also looking outward to take care of others, and specifically people who don't have the advantages that we have and that are fighting for their lives sometimes. And three, we do that with loving action. And so we're in the fight, but we're in the fight in a way where we're intentionally using love as the core of our actions.
I try to live out this value every day in my work as a school psychologist. I work with Latino students and families, and I try to advocate for a better education for them. This semester, I've been taking a class from the Equity Professional Program at Fourth Dimension Leaders. It's teaching us about systemic racism and how to fight for change within the system. I've also joined our union's Ethnic Minority Affairs Committee to support our students and staff of color. In recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every person, I need to recognize my white privilege and use it to fight for the dignity of others.
I feel compelled to get involved in community planning with an eye on transportation equity so that everyone can get home safe and get to the places they need to go. Realizing not everyone can afford a car or can drive, and we need to keep our neighbors safe and in our minds as we go about our day. I volunteer at places like Urban Bike Project, also the church working with the children who recently made cookies for a manual dining room, and also the Hope Center.
As I look back, a lot of my caring has manifested in helping the church prosper as an organization. I've spent a lot of time in the financial affairs of the church and helping to govern it. These activities make possible the good work of the rest of you, for example, in ILIA, the Environmental Task Force, and the many social justice initiatives. Acting on two other cares recently has given me great pleasure. Taking the lead in the church's solar project serves the environment, and the Get Out the Vote postcard projects of recent years were very satisfying as a way to support the democratic process value.
When I first heard the phrase, housing is a human right, it stopped me for a minute. But then it felt so true. We have a right to safe drinking water. We have a right to emergency medical care. We have a right to be rescued during a natural disaster. Why is it we don't affirm a person's right to have safe shelter, to have a home? Why is it that as a society we don't feel responsibility to provide access to housing for everyone? For far too long, we have seen homelessness as a human failing. Instead, we need to think about it as a system that is failing. And so I work to support legislation that funds the building of more affordable housing, legislation that protects tenants, and I work to pass House Bill 55, the Homeless Bill of Rights.
We as a congregation have decided to support a family who is seeking asylum here in America. And they're seeking asylum from Tanzania. And we have supported the family through the very complex legal process of seeking asylum. We've been able to hire a lawyer. We've been able to support them financially. We've with all their daily needs, and it's direct and important work in which we are changing someone's lives. And that is something that I truly could not do so effectively anywhere else.
Our seventh principle is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. My spirit soars in the outdoors. I have my greatest insights while walking out in nature, regardless of the season. I love working in my garden, have helped to bring native plants to First U, and have recently joined with others to help beautify the campus where I live.
When I moved to Delaware, I was delighted to find the Unitarians, who are welcoming of everyone. There are no admission requirements other than to join in a quest for peace, justice, and spiritual exploration through connections, our inclusive web of existence. The UUs also believe in fun. We sing, we prance, and we laugh together. Reverend Larry has been known to spontaneously break out in a dance during a service. I love being part of the choir's Songs and Sundays concert, which celebrated our joy in making music and sharing this love with our community. We care about new ideas and creative solutions. Sometimes I get impatient with that very slowly bending arc toward justice, but we accept that life is a complicated journey, and as a UU, I care about the people I meet along the way. Even those who put up roadblocks or push me into potholes, it does add some adventure. As a UU, I care about the earth, the seas and the sky, and fellow seekers who open their hearts to new and renewed connections. I am so happy to be among them.
I also value the ability to help others through my medical practice and being able to help facilitate a meditation practice, a practice which I believe helps to improve people's inner well-being and hopefully even spreads a little bit more peace in the world. I also appreciate the way our congregation accepts its responsibility for stewardship of the environment and even allows me to have a small amount of time that I can dedicate to helping improve the grounds of our congregation. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this community.
I care about being part of a spiritual community that is diverse and inclusive of all people and all faith traditions. And I care about devoting my time and energy and resources to exploring something greater than myself.
Living our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation, I currently lead both Soul Matters and Creativity Matters small groups. Small groups are one of the best ways to connect with others in a deeper way and encourage others on their spiritual path.
With this faith, Unitarian Universalist, I can continue to grow, share what I've learned, and feel safe to receive warmth and support. And then be ready to go back and do it again. And in that way, I'm living what I care about.
Isn't that wonderful? It's okay with me. So, if you visit a Unitarian Universalist congregation for the first time, knowing nothing about Unitarian Universalism, and you ask one of the regular attenders or members, what do Unitarian Universalists believe? You might first experience a longer pause than usual in a conversation before you hear a response. If you're really observant, you might notice the person actually appearing somewhat tongue-tied. At that point, don't jump to any conclusions about the person or about Unitarian Universalism. In fact, you may have come face to face in that moment with mystery. How is it that folks who typically have a lot to say about everything, just take my word for it, may actually pause, seem to have been moved to silence, and maybe can't readily speak? What might be happening in that moment of hesitation is that the typical Unitarian Universalist, the UU, may be asking themselves, how do I put this? What do I focus on? How do I respond fairly and accurately? The fact of the matter is that Unitarian Universalists tend to have a variety of perspectives on what they believe, not only among themselves, but also within themselves. Sometimes the question can feel daunting. As a matter of fact, if there is not this self-reflective pause, this is a cause for worry. For example, with good intentions, a UU might blurt out, oh, Unitarian Universalists can believe whatever they want. Don't fall for that. Instead, if you ever hear a UU say that, then I suggest respond by asking another question. Anything? Let's try that right now. Anything? Good. Now you're moving to a new place. What was a question, anticipating a simple, succinct answer, now has become a conversation. Now we're talking, so to speak. At our best, conversations that matter is when Unitarian Universalists become alive. By staying in the conversation long enough and not falling for a quick answer, question and answer format, you enter that place of curiosity where creative interchange can occur. It was Unitarian Henry Nelson Wyman that first offered the understanding of creative interchange as a worthwhile practice in our world, and he added in a congregation in which multiple perspectives might be present. It's not just that Unitarian Universalists have various beliefs and perspectives on religious matters that makes us unique. It is our willingness to enter into dialogue with one another, what Wyman called creative interchange, that clarifies what our communities are about. Creative interchange could be defined as a free, mutual, authentic expression of self, one to another, while understanding and appreciating each other. Another way to define it is an appreciative understanding of the original experience of the other. That requires staying in the conversation, listening and learning from differences, and really attending long enough to hear the original experience of each other. That requires openness. So Unitarian Universalists are not a question and one answer kind of people. Instead, we become alive in the conversation, that creative interchange, that holy conversation when we engage with one another and stand even for the briefest moment on the edge of discovery where learning and growth and revelation in the moment can occur. Now, you see, I grew up in a tradition that was all about questions and answers. Each question had a particular answer, typically a succinct and one right answer. It was called learning the catechism. My mother was Italian, my father was Irish, so I was genetically Roman Catholic. Now, although they each interpreted that faith differently, it was the one thing that they had in common, and they raised me in this faith. Here's Exhibit A. Here's a photo of me with my second grade class at Our Lady of the Most Holy Rosary School. Now, I know some of you won't be able to hear another thing I say until you figure out where am I in that photo, right? Okay, so I'll help you. Do your own guessing for a moment. Okay, I'm in the second row, and I'm almost in the middle, 6 from the left, 5th from the right. Get it?
The one with the halo.
Yes. Better than a stigmata. So everything appears uniform, so to speak, in this photo. And that is how it tended to be in those days with Catholicism. I learned my catechism. I learned the right answers to the right questions to ask. It was all very straightforward then. Then, let's fast forward. By the time I was 17, I was riding my bicycle to the first Unitarian Universalist congregation that I ever attended. No one invited me. I was self-propelled because I was trying to make sense of this world and myself following the death of my mother when I was 16. My adolescent mind started to explore outside of the boxes of my inherited faith tradition. I was looking for some possible new ground to stand on and to guide me. I sought my own answers to those catechism questions that had been so drilled in me as a child. And on that Sunday that I arrived, there wasn't an open house. No one anticipated my arrival. It was a kind of clandestine adventure on my part. I thought I would just slip in and slip out. Now, this was in the dark ages before the internet. So I had read a little bit about Unitarian Universalism and whatever I could find beforehand. And then I was engaged and entranced a little by the service. It was so different than what I had experienced up until then. So following the service, I gravitated towards the back of the sanctuary. I'm often lured by books. And there was a library. There in the back, a volunteer librarian received me. She engaged me in conversation. She embraced my many questions about faith, about life, about Unitarian Universalism. She was patient. And she gave me no easy, ready-made answers. Instead, she listened to me. She conversed with me. She offered me her responses, and then she asked me more questions, and I asked her more questions, and we engaged in a conversation, and then invariably, she equipped me with things to read and ways to learn for myself. I had a sense that she was interested in me, and I learned about her as much as I learned about this Unitarian Universalist church. Upon deeper reflection, over the years, it was her presence that taught me more than whatever it was that she said. It was her attentiveness that conveyed to me more than any lofty ideals could ever convey. It was her engagement with me in reflective listening and guiding questions that caught my heart as well as my head. She prompted me to open up, and she received me with curiosity and compassion. That perhaps was my first real experience of what I've referred to as creative interchange. Indeed, I felt I was participating in holy conversations, in conversations where something holy was occurring within me and between us. If it wasn't for her embodiment for me of what Unitarian Universalism in practice looks like, I don't know if I would have ever continued to return or to seek to find a UU church when I went away to college the next year. It was her presence, her attentiveness, her engagement, and her embodiment of openness to inquiry that spoke to me so directly. I got this practical sense that within the Unitarian Universalist congregation, I would be able to continue to grow, to learn, to deepen, and to explore throughout my lifetime. I got the sense that for Unitarian Universalists, their ways of being in the world conveys what do you use, believe, as much or more than the words that we tend to use. Our ways of being in the world perhaps communicate more directly what it is that we believe, and it does matter what we believe, since it creates the atmosphere in which we either grow or don't grow. The place where we can cultivate our souls and discern where we want to direct our caring for this world. In fact, one of our Unitarian Universalist ministers and educators, Sophia Lyon-Foz, explicitly stated that, and I'm going to quote her, "It matters what you believe." Some people are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding our days and fears of unknown calamities. And other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing us with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating saved from unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. And other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. And other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world, and other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. It matters what we believe. And Foz wrote that in a time before the resurgence of a Christian nationalism that is trying to impose a particular set of beliefs in our society as a whole. We, as Unitarian Universalists, are focused on how we might continue to help this world and not so much an afterlife. We're focused on how we might continue to, as our ancestors said, cultivate our soul rather than imagine ourselves as originally sinful or blemished or unable to change, grow, and learn. We are focused on being inspired by the world's religious traditions and science and art and literature and our own Unitarian Universalist tradition and history. We draw from a variety of sources within the world's religious traditions and human arts and sciences. We draw from what we call sources of our living tradition. We find inspiration in these various sources, and we make them our own when they make sense to us, when they nurture our spirit, when they motivate us towards caring, loving, and liberating action in the world. So when someone in a conversation says, "UUs can believe anything that they want," what they really mean to say is as an individual, each of us may choose anything among our various sources that speak to us and can also expand upon them. What they really mean to say is that our religion making as individuals is as much an art, as much as an improvisational dance, as a living, moving response to our life experiences and our desires to be a healing and liberating presence in the world. Right? For in fact, as a Unitarian Universalist community, we move to the rhythms of mystery and wonder, prophecy and wisdom, teachings from ancient and modern sources, and to nature itself. That is the shorthanded way to say that as a Unitarian Universalist community, we draw from a living tradition that is living because we have tended to find what gives life to us and to others through these various sources of our living tradition. Direct experience, prophetic people, the world's religious traditions, Jewish and Christian teachings, humanist teachings, spiritual teachings of the earth-centered traditions. Agreed, that's a lot of words, something UUs are great at. But hopefully you can see those words as an artist's palette of many colors from which we engage in the artistry of our religion making as Unitarian Universalists. We are, as you know, increasingly in a multi-faith, multi-racial, multi-ethnic world where we are in relationships with and work alongside and strive with others to address the common concerns of our communities and our world. And as a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we strive to be a multi-religious community that honors our own unique history and perspectives, but also reaches across and beyond to join hands and to connect with that source, with that creative power, with God, known by many names, and to work alongside others to engage with the common concerns of poverty, of being unhoused, being a refugee, of our climate emergency, of our threats to democracy, and the threats to human rights of others, particularly the historically marginalized, and our concerns for peace. We challenge ourselves as Unitarian Universalists to live out what we call our principles, in which each has its roots in our religious history. James Luther Adams, a Unitarian theologian and social ethicist, said that we don't believe in the immaculate conception of virtue, but in the necessity of social incarnation, of making real the principles that we affirm. And so our principles, which you might be able to view here, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, all of those principles I understand as practices. None of these principles are easy to practice. These are the practices that we seek to embody in our life together as a Unitarian Universalist congregation and within our lives in the world. Now, the interesting thing about a practice is that we keep rehearsing a practice. We keep trying. Sometimes we do it well and sometimes we don't. We keep returning to a practice. We keep practicing again and again, over and over. In my opinion, a good question to ask a Unitarian Universalist is, what do you care about? And that was the question I asked those who participated in the video that you saw. I discovered there's typically not a long pause when you ask a Unitarian Universalist that question. You'll find that almost invariably someone in our congregation will have something to say about themselves, about their congregation, about how they engage in these practices in their day-to-day life and work, or how as a congregation we express and live out these principles in the world. You might see a Unitarian Universalist congregation as a greenhouse. Here we spend time in our worship services to nurture our spirits, to discern our response to the world and our concerns in our own lives, to experience the healing and joy of music, to meditate and to pray and to care for another. Here we provide experiences for our children and our youth to explore who they are, to learn about the world's religious traditions and Unitarian Universalism, and to express care for the local community and our wider world. Here we gather as adults in our various small groups and our various adult programs to practice what it means to be human, to cultivate what it means to be human religiously. Here we gather to organize ourselves to the larger issues of our community. The list goes on house, the hungry, the rights of women, LGBTQ+, historically marginalized people, the larger issues in our country, the threats to democracy, polarization in our world. We respond and discern our response through joining also in the global work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. So, my friends, we need a sacred center within ourselves in a world that is so distressed and distracted. Yes. We need a sacred center to return to a community that reminds us to be a house of hope in a time in which the more convenient choice is despair. Yes. We need a sacred center to ground us in our work to address the hurts of our world and respond to the hopes of the wider community in the world? Yes. May we commit ourselves again and again to be that sacred center, to find that sacred center within, among, and beyond us, so that we can truly be a people who care. What happened? Okay.
The one I ran into is Unitarians, they don't believe anything. I think we can put that to bed. Our lovely banner, which has been showing its face the last few weeks, reminds us that we are in the midst of our Guest at Your Table fundraiser for UUSC and Works of Justice and Peace. It might seem like overload. I'm going to give only just a little brief testimonial as part of our stewardship invitation. It took me over 60 years to find First U. Back in my teen years as well, searching, looking for something. Most of that time, I didn't know I was looking for Unitarians and Universalists. But when I came here finally, after a career as a Protestant minister in a variety of other churches, where I always felt like part of me had to be kept in a box in order to keep the waters calm. Here I find people help me navigate when the waters are rough. Here I found a home, and that box is not necessary here. Box of intellect, the box of freely searching and seeking, the box of deepened spirituality that I had to keep away from my professional activities in order to perform my duties, provide for my family, and have a career. I don't have that box anymore. When I came here, I knew I had found home. I had a hunch, even before I came, that I would find home. For me, religious home is defined by excellent preaching, good music, a community committed to compassion and justice and not afraid to act on it, the freedom to be embraced by a diversity of spiritual quests. And home, finally, is a friendly place. All of this I have found at First U, whether we meet virtually or in person. And so this is what I'm willing to commit to with my presence, my energy, and my financial support. On the screen soon, there will be various ways that you can support First U. It will be displayed long enough for you to take heed and hope that you can designate the one that works best for you.
For our offertory, I hope you will help us sing it. The chorus repeats, and you'll pick it up real quickly. And then the verses are call and response. The response is easy because it's exactly what the call was. And our music director, Kathy Harris, will sing the response with you. How easy is that? So you got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't you give up. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
If you have a chalice at home, we invite you to extinguish it together as we do so here. May this act of extinguishing our chalice remind us that we are stronger together in all the complexities and even the disagreements of relationship because we are different and because we are one.
Our benediction this morning comes from Rebecca Ann Parker, who writes simply, "None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting." Let's join together in our closing hymn, A Fire of Commitment, number 1028. The words will also appear on the screen. invite you to join us for a time of fellowship and refreshments in the parish hall. We also have some information tables about the various programs of our congregation that you'll find in there. And those of you who are interested, Reverend Paula and I will be doing a session on introducing Unitarian Universalists right at 12 o'clock we'll start out in the Warner Room. So, thank you for joining. You know that offertory song? I just thought it was so good. Can we do it one more time as our recessional?
Gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love.